Namando, 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 namando.
Good morning. Welcome for today's December Shotsuki Memorial Service. My name is Howard Shintani, and I'll be your chairperson for today. Reverend Fujimoto will read names of those who have passed away in the month of December. Those observing the monthly memorial for loved ones, please come forward and offer incense.
Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. It's always nice to have our Shotsuki service to begin the month, and it's a memorial for the Shotsuki families who have lost someone during any time of this month in any year. So please come up and offer incense or shoko during the reading of the names. Ago, infant Aiko. Akashi, infant Tetsu. Asada, Masae, Cohen, Florence, Di Stefano, Carl, Di Stefano, Cyril, Enomoto, Kyuzo, Fujishima, Soichi, Fujiwara, Infant Jiro, Fujiwara, Infant Yoshinari, Goto, Rokuzo, Hamasaki, Seiichiro, Haraguchi, Ikuhei, Haramaki, Mite, Hasegawa, Kikumatsu, Hashimoto, George, Imazumi, Shozo, Imose, Tome, Isoda, Kohei, Iwahashi, James, Iwataki, Joe, Iwataki, Kosaku, Kataoka, Masajiro, Kato, Infant, Masaru, Kihara, Infant, Fuyoka, Kobu, Infant, Senichi, Kuge, Aiko, Maruyama, Fujiko, Marubayashi, Bunju, Matsumoto, Fusa, Matsuoka, Bunji, Matsuura, George, Miyamori, Fujiko, Morino, George, Moriya, Heihachiro, Muramoto, Roy, Nakagawa, Tetsuya, Nakagawara, Katsuzo, Nakamura, Matsushiro, Nakano, Hiroko, Nakano, Yukuse, Nakao, Chuichi, Nakao, Mikino, Nakashima, Sahi, Nakaso, William Saburo, Nakayama, Yoneko, Negi, Jotaro, Nishi, Momoyo, Nomura, Haruka, Ogata, Sute, Oye, Tayo, Ota, Gary, Hiromichi, Rorobar, Umeko, Sadamori, Kazuto, Sakai, Toki, Sakamoto, Jerry, Shimizu, Tajiro, Shimono, Grace, Shiota, Keiji, Shiraishi, Misao, Shiroishi, Infant, Mitsuyo, Sueyasu, Jutaro, Sugihara, Infant, Junko, Sugiyama, Yoshiteru, Sueyasu, Naomi, Sueyasu, Rose, Takada, Kome, Takayama, Ryukichi, Takayanagi, Infant, Hideo, Tashima, Infant, Hidehiko, Tashima, Ryukichi, Tashiro, Saga, Tashiro, Yoneo, Terao, Mary, Terao, Reverend Shigeo, Tsuchiya, Arlene Setsuko, Honda, Tsujimoto, Masami, Uchiyama, Hideo, Archie, Umene, Komei, Ushijima, Kunitaro, Ushijima, Seisuke, Ushijima, Sugino, Ushijima, Yasuki, Yamagami, Eunice, Yamagishi, Makoto, Yamamichi, Isamu, Yamasaki, Takeo, Yamashita, Jeffrey, Yamashita, Yoshino, Yatabe, Mitsue, Yonekura, Kyuzo, Yoshimura, Minokichi, Yoshiwara, Eiichi. These are the Shotsuki names for the month of December. If there are additions or corrections, please notify the office.
We will now have the Sambujo on page 24 and 25, followed by the reading of the Yobyokumon.
Today, on this occasion of the Shotsuki service for the month of December, members of our temple families have reverently come before Amida Buddha in memory of their beloved. With deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida, we reaffirm the three homages. Namu Butsu, Namu Ho, Namu Soul. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida.
Now we'll have Sutra chanting Amida Kyo on page 103. 103.
世願法一時仏在社会国美重金庫六本上大理君主千人百五十人空海世大あらか修正知識小老者におまかもけんでまかかしょまかかせんでまかくしらいはかしゅりあんだがなんだあなんだラゴラキョモナダイインズルハラダカルダイマカコイナアクラアヌルラヨゼト将来弟子上昇法様かさ本十四里王子イッタボサケンダカダイボサ上昇人ボサヨヨゼト将来ボサ有釈大観陰と無量昇天大修復一仏語長老シリ法中世祭法多十万六分道無世界道万極楽国道仏語阿弥陀根源在説法者輪法非道がこの意極楽合国修上無宿単純小楽公明極楽者利法極楽国土七十何十七十何も七十五十大聖四法修相異行成功異国名万極楽者利法極楽国土七法知薬六水十万五中地大順に本社無事四辺街道根本瑠璃ありご上上無老格学理根本瑠璃あり釈釈修名の理言直視四中連芸大量者臨床式証拠法式要項釈式釈項百式白項微妙項欠者利法国羅国土上重要性空俗将軍空者利法異部国土調査見学黄金一昼夜六時理由曼荼羅家報告修上上位昇誕各位英国上修行家不良他法十万六分即義機器伝統本国本式教業者利法国羅国土小中行政空毒将軍武士者利法異国上修十奇妙雑式市場百国着法無者利大量民が無病市長税商州長長夜六時水和天本
本年長高根合力式法大分発祥道分行政等行動宗教門前本に開出念仏念法念相者利法尿物理市長実前在少々少々一社外部国土無三幕主者利法東部国土小部三幕同士名家教実税小宗長大勢阿弥陀仏力量温泉流園芸小佐舎利法理部国土義父水路小法十九オラモ水味妙法二妙百千十学当時草門税四社開示年上年仏年法演奏しし舎利法公部国土小十両世空力小
Please stand for the Gatha Namu Amida Butsu number 1 in the White Book, page 96, and remain standing for the reading of the Golden Chain on page 15, number 1, Purple Book.
Please switch to the purple books on page 15. And we'll read together Golden Chain number 1. I am a link in Amida's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I will keep my link bright and strong. I will be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, say pure and beautiful words, and do pure and beautiful deeds. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong. May we all attain perfect peace. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Please be seated.
Now Reverend Fujimoto will share a Dharma message with us.
How nice to be here for this service today. Seems like every time I get up, there's more people here. So nice to see. It's always special to come to our Shotsuki services, and for those new here or visiting, it's a time when we are able to remember people we have lost in our families. And so the Shotsuki is the first Sunday of each month, and we come, and if you've lost someone in that month, the month of December this time, of any year, you can request to have that name placed on our list, and we read those names, and the families can gather. Lots of times the older ones invite their younger ones in the family to come and participate, and so often it's a family unit that comes to the Shotsuki services. They come and offer incense together, and after the service is over, maybe they'll go out for an outing or to lunch together, and it reinforces our family bonds, and at the same time we are remembering that we are influenced by these people we lose, no matter how many years have gone by. So it's always a very touching service. And at this time of year, when we come to the end of the year, when we go outside, we see the trees and the leaves are changing color. When we drive through, it can be very beautiful. We come to see the Japanese garden here on the temple grounds, and always real pretty. It can also be extra work as we rake the leaves and dispose of them. So when we have these times of seasonal change, all the more we have these lessons of the Dharma, and we're reminded of impermanence, change, the fleeting nature of life, just by walking outside, raking the leaves, or driving through town. There's a wonderful poem that I use once in a while about falling leaves. I used it in our recent class, and on a number of occasions. It's a very well-known haiku poem written by Ryokan, and it says, showing front, showing back, falling maple leaves. So showing front, showing back, falling maple leaves. So, as maybe just a slight wind coming through, knocking some of the leaves off, and gently they fall to the ground. And they fall, telling us they don't show any pretense, very naturally showing front and showing back. People don't fall like that, okay? So human beings, full of pride and ego, we try to show our good side, and we hide our bad side. So we would fall like this, right? Okay, so myself, I try to be caring and compassionate and good. I try to let other people see that part of me, right? But I'm not always that way, okay? So some of you have seen that I'm not always that way. If you've seen me drive through town, clearly, I'm not always that way. So sometimes I might be less caring, less compassionate, okay? But I don't want people to see that part of me, okay? Pride, image, power, control, these are aspects of ego playing out in different ways and at different levels. And this happens to all of us. So the Buddhist teachings are reminding us to notice how our ego, our self-centeredness bubbles up continuously, bubbling up. Shin Buddhism, this form of Buddhism, is not telling us how to fix that. Okay, it's telling us that this is the nature of human life. Okay, but in that awareness comes humility and gratitude. These awaken, and we awaken to a depth of life that opens up to us. Okay, so this is our Shin Buddhist practice. Just a couple weeks ago, we had our guests from the IMOP program, and one of them talked about, to him, Buddhism, Shin Buddhism is a mirror, that he can see his own reflection. And this is what we're talking about. So when we are reminded of our self-centeredness, we're looking in the mirror, okay? Always reminding us of this, okay? But not to fix it, that this is who I really am, okay? So another term we hear often at the temple is Goen, G-O-E-N, Goen. And this means fortuitous encounters. See, all these causes and conditions come together just so, just perfectly, and something happens, anything happens in our lives. So fortuitous encounters, karmic connections. So this is Goen, okay? So we talk about quite often causes and conditions coming together perfectly. And so this is the Goen that creates any instance in our lives. So today I have a story for you. It's a very different kind of story, but it's about a young Mexican-American man, okay? So as I tell this story, keep in mind these two points, falling leaves, falling maple leaves, showing front, showing back, and Goen, these causes and conditions coming together. So there's a book many of you may have seen or have had or never opened, but they're sitting on your shelf. And this one, Out of the Mud Grows the Lotus, was written by my father a number of years ago. And as a Buddhist minister, he went to prisons and taught Buddhism, and he corresponded, letters going back and forth to prisons throughout California, basically, okay? And this book is a collection of those correspondence and letters and things that were sent to my father. And so very interesting to read, to look at that. Out of the mud grows the lotus, okay? And so he would send material to some of these prisons. And this one story in particular is about a young Mexican-American man named Fred Cruz, okay? And he was serving a 15-year federal prison sentence in Texas for robbery, armed robbery, okay? And so this was in the 1960s, and Fred grew up in a bad part of town, drugs, alcohol. He only had an 8th grade education. His older brother was killed at a very young, early age. When Fred was a teenager, he's playing with his friend, and he's showing his friend how fast he could pull this gun out of his belt. And he shot his friend by accident. His friend died. And it was an accident, so nothing happened. You know, he didn't get in trouble for that. But later on, he did this armed robbery and was sent to prison. So a lot of things happen. Bad things happen in the bad parts of town, okay? But once he got to prison, he would read. He was curious, went to the library, read all kinds of books, anything. He would read books on philosophy, legal theory, yoga, Eastern religions. And so he wrote letters, and he corresponded. He sent these letters they got to the Buddhist Churches of America headquarters where my father had his office. So because my father was corresponding with prisoners, these were directed to my father's office. And so they developed this relationship, okay? And, you know, he would read other things. Fred would read other things, Supreme Court opinions. You know, he read the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and he tried to write his own court of appeals. So his sentence would get overturned, you know. So through this, he would practice what he learned about the legal system. And with his inmates, he would also share things, Buddhist things that would sent to him, and he would talk to other inmates about the teachings of Buddhism. And so they wanted to learn more, and as they talked to Fred, they learned that he's writing to send appeals in. So, can you do that for me? And so he started writing appeals for these other inmates. And so, you know, very positive things, but he was kind of looked upon as a troublemaker, and so the guards and things, people in charge were watching him carefully. Okay. All of these things, you know, the prison authorities were real suspicious. He would get in trouble. So he was sharing Buddhist things, and when I think of what he was sharing, he would send books like Everyday Suchness, things that we have in our shelves for a long time. We want to downsize the house. Maybe someone passes away, mom or dad passes away. Books of things come to the temple. Can you use these? We won't need them anymore. So people are downsizing their homes, and boxes of books come, very basic books. And so just by sharing these, he would be sent into solitary confinement. Okay? And at that particular prison, they said solitary confinement, you're placed in a dark cell, so black that your eyes would ache. You get this thin kind of a nightgown thing to wear, no other clothing. You slept on a metal cot, no mattress, just a metal cot. The toilet was just a hole in the floor. And daily you're fed 3 slices of bread. And twice a week, they would bring you a full meal. Okay, and so this would go on for 15 days. That's solitary confinement. And after that amount of time, someone would check on them, and just by opening the door down the hall, that's the only light you would notice this whole 2 weeks. And so he would be asked by the staff if whether you're remorseful or not. And by your answer, they would decide to let you out or another 2 weeks. And Fred was subject to solitary confinement more than a few times because he was always trying to share his Buddhist writings and trying to write appeals for people. Okay, so also in this story is a Frances Jolet. So she's came to be his attorney. So she's like twice his age, lived back east. She had a family, like 5 people family, and raised her children. She sang in the church choir, quite a separate, different life. Then her husband had an accident, and things got difficult, you know, in their relationship. Finally, they got divorced. The kids grew up, you know, started their own lives. And so she's wanting to do, what should she do? She's not that old. She could have maybe a second career, do something. So she decided to go to the Columbia School of Law, got her law degree. And the graduates had a chance to do some, for experience, some community service, community law centers for underprivileged people. And there was an opening in Texas. So she moved, relocated her family. The kids didn't need her around like they did before. She was divorced. So she took this position in Texas. And Fred heard about this center and wrote to the center. So eventually they would meet up, this attorney and Fred. And they met in the prison and talked to each other, and she's asking him questions and learned about all the different things he read, what he did, how his life was, how he got in trouble, how he was treated in the prison. And he learned from her what interested her in studying law and coming to this point in her life. And so they, little by little, gaining trust and awareness, understanding of each other. Okay. A third person in this story is a person named George Beto. So he's the head of the prison system in all of Texas at that time. So he oversaw like 14 different prisons. 12,000 men and women were under his supervision. Okay, so he, because of this, the Texas prison system was known as a model, and so he would be invited throughout the United States as a speaker. Okay. So as Fred and his attorney would talk, they're talking about this solitary confinement, right? And they thought, not only is it unjust, it's inhumane, right? If you're helping others with their legal problems or sharing religious materials, if you're out in the real world, these are basic human rights, right? And so how are they just taking them away, not just taking them away, but putting him into solitary confinement? So they decided to write a class action lawsuit against the Texas prison system and George Beto in particular. Okay, and other prisoners' names signed on this, and they sent it through, and it was turned down. George Beto, with all his connections, he was trying to do things behind the scenes to stop all this action going on. He had her position terminated so that she no longer had a job. So they released her. She was looking for part-time work just so she could stay in the area and keep working on this project. So she was forced to change jobs a number of times, trying to stay there. Okay, and then he banned her from coming to the prison. So they had a hard time even communicating with each other. And then inside the prison, Fred and his friends, other inmates, they would be harassed even more, penalized even more, going through this solitary confinement thing. So George Beto, working on all these things from behind, and he knew the top lawyers in the area. He even knew a number of the judges. So he would get his way. And so the case would be looked at and then turned down, but they would work on an appeal and send it again, keep it alive, keep it alive. And so while all this was going on, Fred was sent to solitary again, and he was able to get a pen, and he wrote a second lawsuit. And this second lawsuit is written on his ration of toilet paper. Okay, so he's writing all this on pieces of toilet paper and about his religious discrimination as a Buddhist. Everyone else, whether they're Jewish or Catholic, different forms of Christian, they would be provided. State would pay for material. They would have a chaplain, use of the chapel, and all these things. But the Buddhists were not. Okay, so he's writing all these things on, and slowly, against all odds, this case moved through and got out of the hands of the local Texas area, and eventually they won. Okay, both of these cases won. They changed the prison system in the state of Texas because of their lawsuit, impacting prison reform elsewhere in America too. So this is 1972. Hold on. So the case on Buddhism was supported, went all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court and was passed. It was turned down in the lower cases, but made its way to the Supreme Court. The Chief Justices read it, and they supported it and passed. And I think it's the only known case written on toilet paper that went all the way to the Supreme Court and was passed. So when we look again at Goen, fortuitous conditions, falling maple leaves. George Beto, maybe it's not so fortuitous, but showing front, showing back. We see both sides of him, how he is treated by the general public. They think of him as this leader of prisons, changing the prison systems all through the United States, the model of a prison. But he's doing all these things behind the scenes, repressing people, repressing religious freedom. Frances Jolie, she had a little cookie cutter life in the back east and raising her family. All of a sudden, she's moved to go to law school. Everything changes. She meets Fred, goes through all this continuing, even though she's being dismissed from one job after another, trying to keep helping him, okay? And Fred Cruz, ending up in prison, smart. He had a lot of smarts in him, but only an 8th grade education, reading these books, corresponding with the Buddhist Churches of America, Reverend Fujimoto. So books that are right here in our library, in our own homes. And then just by sharing those books, he was sent to solitary confinement and starting this whole process. And we have it so easy. Sometimes, should I read this book? No, I don't have time. I think I'll get a bobo drink or something like that. Right. So we know in our own lives about injustice, institutionalized power, corruption. We've faced it at different times. Maybe parents going through internment camps, maybe on the job. We've faced something like this at school, at work. Yeah, different versions at different levels. People face all these things, okay? So causes and conditions come together just so, in so many ways. It's not always, lots of times we think of Goen as something positive and good, but it's not always just positive and good. Causes and conditions create negative impact as well, okay? And so we're not always able to follow this trail. That could have stopped anywhere along the way. And things that happen in our lives can stop or continue anywhere along the way. But these causes and conditions fit together just so, creating every single moment in our lives and in our connections, okay? When we come to the temple, we learn about the Dharma, we help, we wonder what our teaching is about, what our practice is about, we have questions and all these things, and at the same time, we are part of these causes and conditions, okay? We come, we're asked to contribute time, effort, money, and we impact other people in many ways that we might not even know, okay? Because we are here, Buddhist Churches of America is able to function and exist, okay? Because of that, they have all these books that can be sent to a prisoner. You don't know if he's going to use it for toilet paper in solitary confinement, or maybe he'll share it. This is deep, this is important. Read this and share it with a friend. You don't know, right? He might share it. He might have someone pass away in his life and come back to the Dharma and impact, okay? So all of these things continue. Often we can see our impact. Sometimes we have no idea. So let me share something Fred wrote in one of his correspondence to my father, just a little bit of a letter. These are Fred's words. The true Buddhist is the greatest of all artists. Life is the canvas on which he paints. Enlightenment gives him perspective to see what others don't. And because he sees reality, he lives in a deeper dimension of life, which enriches not only his own, but the life of everyone to whom he is related. Please put your hands together in Gassho. Showing front, showing back, falling maple leaves. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namu Amida Butsu. Namanda. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Fujimoto. Oh, wow. Okay, please stand for Gatha, We Are One, on page 150 and 152 in the White Book. Okay, thank you for those who helped with the altar preparations with the service. Reverend Fujimoto, of course. You two in the back is Maria Piper. Altar flowers is Jackie and Lenny, organist Lenny. And those who brought refreshments for our monthly memorial service, all the goodies after service. Let's see, do we have any newcomers? If we do, would you like to stand and introduce yourself? Go ahead. Thank you. And? Oh, thank you for coming. Okay. Announcements. Okay, next Sunday, December 8th, is a Bodhi Day service and Birthday Sunday. And then we'll have our annual temple general meeting after the service, so please come. Let's see, Sunday, December 15th, this is just a family service. No service on the last 2 Sundays in December. Tuesday, December 31st, Joya, end of the year service on New Year's Eve at 3 p.m. Wednesday, January 1st, New Year's service at 10 a.m. That's it for that. And is there any other announcements? No? Okay. So, thank you for attending for this morning's service. Please come up for Oshoko and join us for refreshments in the social hall.